Hey everybody. Today's transplant day for some of my plants at least. I was on vacation for 4 days, and when I came home it was like my plants had exploded in growth, and that typically happens, which is kind of cool. You know, if you come down and check them every day, you don't see a whole lot of difference from day to day, but just give it 2 or 3 days, and when you come and look at them again, it looks like your garden's ready to be planted. And so that's kind of what happened in my case. Is I was gone, like I said, for 4 days, and when I came back, these things are getting too big for these little 6 module cell packs that I have here. As you can tell, I haven't even thinned them out, so I got 2 or 3 growing in some of these. Some of them I'm just gonna pinch off and not actually plant. Some of them I might try to make into viable plants, but we'll see as I pull them out. Most of the ones I'm going to transplant are tomatoes today. And the thing about tomatoes that's great and that's kind of rough is if you look at a teeny tomato plant, you'll see all these little fibers, these little hairs growing off of the plant. And those little hairs will become roots, which is awesome. The bad part is if you just grab those, you basically kill them. And then the stems of these plants are really tender too, so you can put a hurting on one just by grabbing it. So most people say to grab them by their leaves, and if you have good fluffy dirt like I talked about in my other videos, this kind of stuff, they'll just pull right out, which is great. But if you have like tough clay dirt that you went out and just pulled dirt from your garden to plant them, you'll probably break them off or tear them into little chunks as you try to transplant them. But I just wanted to give you a quick video, show you what I do, how I do it. Taking my plants from teeny little seedling containers and putting them into something big. My choice for containers to move from that small one into a larger one are anything I can really upcycle. I save people's solo cups, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not an eco warrior, so I don't shame people for using stuff like this. But we have birthday parties in the beginning of the year because both of my kids' birthdays are in this late winter. So when we have people over, we use solo cups to serve their drinks in, and these things become my, I rinse them out. They might have a little bit of dried up pop drops, Pepsi soda, for you people who don't know what my Midwestern reference to pop is. But so anyways, I just use these and fill them up with dirt and transplant things. The one thing that you have to do on these is you have to put some holes in the bottom of them. You got to give a way for the water to escape. There's various ways to do that, obviously. I usually just take a razor knife and poke some slots. I don't even need a hole. I just need a way for the water to escape, or in the case of trying to water from the bottom up, I need a way to get water in. So I'll let those slats sit in a tray full of water, and it'll let the water kind of wick up into the dirt. Now I use the same kind of dirt to pot up my plants as I do to start my seedlings. I do it a little differently than I do when I'm starting my seeds. Basically, I just take and put some of my seed starting dirt, whatever you get at your local garden center. That was some leftover from last year. This is the new stuff, and it's a little different, but it's all roughly the same. This one's made out of mostly coconut, what they call coconut coir, C-O-I-R, and it's just the husk ground up, the fibers of the husk ground up. People say that it's more, well, it is a renewable resource, whereas peat moss is not. So anyways, it's mostly made up of that, a few other ingredients like vermiculite or perlite. I take a big bunch of this and I take a big bunch of water, I pour it in there, and then you see that it just disappears and everything moves all around it. So you kind of have to let it sit for a while, or you really have to get your hands in there and just kind of get dirty. And you'll see it just kind of clumps up at first. If you can't tell, I used to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, so I've got the technique of mixing down. As you can see, it starts to get a little bit more coarse and No, it's not like a snowball yet. So that's kind of what I go for. A snow that packs well into a snowball. That's kind of the texture that I look for. So a little more mixture. As you can see, I'm starting to get a nice pack. That's pretty much good enough for me. Okay, so now that I have my dirt, I need to prepare my planters. And I don't really know how many I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need probably 10. So I'll just take a big stack of them. They're all recycled, like I said, so it's not a big deal for me to just take a bunch. And you can do this with a drill. One way, like I said, is I just go in and I just make sure that I put a little bit more than just a slice. You know, they have kind of a direction to them and a curve so that they'll stay open. These things can kind of seal themselves up. Okay, so now I have a stack of these solo cups that are ready to go. So what I do is just fill this cup up enough, but try to leave a pocket in that dirt that's about as big as one of those cells. Okay, and then decide, in my case right now at least, I have to decide, am I trying to transplant one of these cells or am I trying to pull one out? And I'm going to give it a shot pulling one of these guys out. So I'm not going to risk one of the really good looking ones, but like this guy, because he's off to the side a little bit, I'm going to try to pull it out. Nope, he's not going to live. That's what I was looking for right there. I'm going to try to pull this one out now. And that's all you need. That little teeny amount of roots in a plant. And I'm not squeezing hard. If you could see how light, I mean, I'm almost afraid I'm going to drop this thing. But I'm going to plant that seed, or that seedling, into that dirt. And I would bet you $1 to a donut that will do just fine. And that plant was a San Marzano.
So I'm going to write a San M on that baby. San M. And I'm going to put it inside of this tray.
I will get some more water, and every single one of these I'm going to give it a nice dose of water so that it's flooding the bottom of this tray. This is one of my Rutgers tomatoes. I keep trying these and I don't really have a lot of luck with them, but they're so well regarded that I just feel like I'm the one that's screwing up here. So, and that's probably the case all the time. But fill the cup up, try to make a pocket in the middle, and then these things are really almost like a plastic bag. You just push up on it and then you can grab it, and it really doesn't matter if the whole thing comes apart in your hand. If you see how much of this root, that's how you know that I'm way overdue, honestly, for transplanting these. So I'm just going to stick him down in there. I'm going to leave the blue flag in and then get some dirt. Try to kind of line them up in the middle just so, you know, they got an even growth around them. But as you can tell, I'm not gentle, I'm not neat or clean. That's all it takes. The 3 or 4 times a week that I pack these guys with water, all this stuff will level off and they'll be good to go. So I have a full tray here. They're either labeled on the cup or they have a flag in them. They're now ready for that initial watering in this in the cup that they're in now, and then I'm going to put them over under the lights. Following the same pattern that I followed when I started them off as seeds, I go ahead and I mist that top level. I don't know what the physics are to it, but just getting kind of a layer of moisture on the top helps it take the water that I pour in much better. And it's not about getting the plants wet, it's getting that, I think it's that peat or coconut core, whichever one you're using. They both, to me, seem to act the same way, so get that top one moist. But once I get these done, watered like they're watered, I will pour a bunch of water down in this tray so that it can wick the water up from the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and put these over under the light. There isn't a whole lot of excitement in transplanting, but I thought it might be useful for anybody who's just getting started, wants to see how the common person does this stuff in their basement to get ready for planting outside in the wonderful season of plenty we all hope for. So Mike from Lifelong Abundance saying take care. Till next time.